a night of reflection.
Yeah.
What are you reflecting on?
Well, it's so much. It's still pretty surreal. There's just been, I think, moment by moment, it becomes more real. Obviously, there's that first knock on the door, and all of a sudden, there's Dan Fouts telling you that in his gold jacket, telling you that you're the next member of the Hall of Fame. And then, honestly, a few hours ago, walking in the room with the class for the first time, and there's Luke Kuechly, who I shared so many battles with. And honestly, the greatest defensive player I ever played against. It's a guy who I have so much respect and admiration for, and truly brought out the best in me and us every time we played him. Just set a standard that was just unmatched. To see him and be able to share some memories and moments. And Larry Fitzgerald, I've always had such a special bond with. We were young players at the same time early in our careers, and I knew I was never going to get a chance to play with him because they were going to never let him out of Arizona, and I was never leaving New Orleans. So we only got to play in Pro Bowls together, which is always such a joy. And honestly, it was like something I just relished the opportunity to do. Vinatieri.
All right, shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Much love to the fam, man. We up in this thing reacting to the Drew Brees announcement. Not only announcement, but you can see Drew Brees had an opportunity to be interviewed, and it's something that we seen happen with the New Orleans Saints that ultimately he ended up doing what he did. And Drew Brees, what is it, about 5 years, I think you need to be retired before you are eligible for the NFL. And what can I tell you? Drew Brees is in football nirvana now. He's in football, where all the legends is. He's reached his pinnacle of excellence for the Saints, won a Super Bowl, broke a bunch of records, set many records for us that are probably going to be unreachable for some people. But at the end of the day, he was football excellence personified, hard working, dedication. His vision, as you can see right here, I just paused it right here. You can see he's at peace. The work paid off. And this is like watching people achieve a level of measure of success. This is the most ultimate thing that they reached to be. Their vision was to ultimately, as a football player, finish on top as one of the greatest and be celebrated and placed among the all-time greatest that ever existed in the pro football world, which is an ultimate honor for all footballers, period. When you put on the helmet as a child, the main goal is the end result. At some point, you want to finish among the best ever. And we recognized Drew Brees when he was playing here as a Saint. We knew that ultimately we would reach this day where this man will be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and just absorbing all of the moment and the and celebrating in his moment of all the hard work. Man, I don't know what to say about that. You can just, maybe this can serve as inspiration for you and things that you endeavor to get through in your life, to watch somebody reach the pinnacle of success in a very difficult field, no matter where it is always something we should respect and honor and use it as inspiration to improve in your own way. You see what I'm saying? But let's finish up with Drew.
And two really like Hall of Fame careers on two separate teams, if you really want to look at it. And then the Roger Craig one is pretty remarkable because, like, really, when I say we used to watch old Bill Walsh Niner film, and of course, it was Montana and Rice getting a lot of that, but Roger Craig was the secret sauce. He was the guy who really revolutionized the all-purpose back mantra, and I think about all the guys that I played with that benefited from that. Guys like LaDainian Tomlinson and Reggie Bush and Pierre Thomas and Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara and Darren Sproles and all these guys. And it's like, man, really, really unbelievable when I look at the class and just how special it is and just how honored and humbled I am to be a part of it.
Drew, you're a man of great detail. Do you remember the day and the time and what you felt when the knock came?
Oh yeah, it was what? So my son and I share a birthday. His Balin was one of my 30th birthday. By the way, that kid, is 17 years old now. He's driving, which is nuts. So that our birthday was on the Thursday, January 15th, and so then that weekend was kind of his birthday weekend, and Monday rolled around, Martin Luther King Day, and my daughter was like, "Dad, I want to take you out to dinner for your birthday," and it was just like, "Wow, like this is great," So she's like, "Be ready by 5." So my wife and daughter are ready by 5. They're gonna take me out to eat, and the boys are gonna come too, and the boys are kind of dragging. They're upstairs. I'm like, "Oh, boys," like Rylan said, 5 o'clock, we gotta leave. Let's respect that. And boys are dragging. I'm starting to get upset, and little did I know that Britta told me, "Hey, stall," and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and I'm getting ready to get in the car and drive away. I'm like, "We need to teach these boys a lesson," right? And then there's Dan Fouts. And it's like, "Oh, you guys set me up. You got me."
Drew, how do you describe your connection to the city of New Orleans?
I mean, like just as I first thing I say is none of this is possible without Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis believing in me at a time when it was kind of hard for me to believe in myself, coming off that injury. But it was those guys who saw something in me, believed in me, and then equipped and empowered me to be the best that I could be. Without that confidence and without that belief in me, this wouldn't have happened. Certainly would never have had the opportunity to come to New Orleans. And I think you guys, the story is well documented, right, about the moment. Sean getting lost and Brittany and I looking at each other and just saying this is about so much more than just football, and we belong here. This is God's calling for us. And I can tell you this, I know New Orleans was looking for a quarterback then, but I promise you I needed New Orleans more than New Orleans needed me. And I had the chance to be a part of something, so special that most guys don't get a chance to be a part of. Most people don't get a chance to be a part of something that's just so much bigger than them, and we're all so much better for it.
Drew, team game, obviously, you're all about winning and the stats just happen to build up. But was there a time that came where you felt like this might be a possibility? This might happen?
Yeah, the numbers start adding up. Year 15, 16, 17. It was more so. For me, it was like, man, how long am I going to play? I still feel pretty good. I can get the job done. I like slinging it around. I love my team. Let's go win another championship. My kids are getting, to the point where they know what dad does. I can bring them in the locker room and let him steal Michael Thomas's gloves out of his locker and, swim in the whirlpool like it's their swimming pool. This is kind of fun, and they'll remember this forever. And maybe there'll be a little ignition switch or moment of inspiration for them, as being a part of this, being around it. So I think that was more so my motivation. It wasn't let's keep racking up numbers, so I can, try to be a Hall of Famer. I think that just happens from just trying to be the greatest teammate that you can be, each and every day, and trying to prove Sean Payton and Mickey Loomis right that I'm their guy. I always want to be their guy.
Drew, how special is it to be the first?
Yeah, it's been an excellent thing, and Drew Brees, man. Because of the shoulder issue, remember he was headed to Miami. Nick Saban at the time was the head coach and general manager of the Miami Dolphins. He left the LSU Tigers to take the job in the pros. He stayed for 2 years and ultimately left and realized the pros wasn't him and took the Alabama Crimson Tide job and went on to win multiple championships there, which is sour for me as an LSU guy, but nonetheless, it had an impact because what it did was, thanks to Nick Saban taking Dante Culpepper, choosing between Culpepper and Drew, he took Dante Culpepper. Drew came to New Orleans, and the rest was history. He began the motivation of getting it together, and Sean Payton wanted him. Drew Brees wanted to be here after that, and they just locked in with this guy, and they built something special that reigned supreme. And we could have had multiple championships, unfortunately. But, the truth is, regardless or not, man, we got what we were supposed to get and do what we were supposed to get. And I got to honor the fact that they did the right thing, because that set a golden age in football for the Saints. And it set as an example to change the culture and history of the team, which prior to that was falling short. But there was not a lot of falling short in the Drew Brees era. And it could be something that future teams, like the team we currently have now with Tyler Shuck, actually literally having a relationship and connecting with Drew Brees, that can ultimately lead us, and Drew telling him, hey man, you need to do this, that, and the third, and watch out for this, and getting his ability to train and the mindset from Drew, getting counsel from Drew, man, that is special. And hopefully that sparks another golden age for Saints football here. But this is good.
Ever first ballot Hall of Famer for this franchise?
It's pretty awesome when you think about some of the great players that played for the organization. That Dome Patrol team that had so many great, linebackers, and of course Willie Roaf and Morton Anderson, and all these guys. Like obviously there's some great ones that have been part of our history. I really hope that there's a few more that are from our generation that make it in here. There are certainly a few that are very, very deserving. Yeah.
Sorry. You mentioned Keith Lee calling out plays. Was there a particular play call or particular situation you remember where he's like, how did he do that?
It was every game, honestly, about 10 times a game, where I could see his eyes and I could see what he was looking at. He was looking at how deep the back would line up, because that would tell you run or pass a lot of times. If we had a fullback, he would look at the offset back, and that would tell you a lot about the play. He would start looking at receivers and where they were lined up. Certain receivers are like, he's not supposed to be lined up there. Mike Thomas is in, at the number 3 slot inside. It's a pass. And no, that guard's light in the stance. He's going to pull this direction. Hey, set the edge and scrape over the top. We're going to make this play. So he saw things. There's little tips. I mean, the same thing I would be looking at on the other side, right? Like, who's tipping it off, right? I mean, that's basically what he was doing. He was the quarterback on the other side.
Was there ever when you got him and you were like, yeah?
Oh, we tried very, very hard every game to try to get him at least once or twice, and sometimes it worked, and most times it didn't.
When you think about your journey going back all the way to Boston, coming out and having only 2 Division I offers, and then to be on this stage, I know it's a big question, but I mean, the journey you took.
Yeah. I took a ton of pride in being a Texas kid. I mean, obviously football is a big deal in the state of Texas, as it is in the state of Louisiana and some other places. But Texas, ever since they wrote the book Friday Night Lights, I mean, I remember that as my book report in 4th grade, and sitting there going, man, I want to feel that. I want to be a part of this. Every kid in Texas grows up with that. So I took a lot of pride in that, and so I didn't get the opportunity to play college football in Texas at one of the Southwest Conference schools, so I had to go to Purdue to do it. But I feel like I always carried that with me, that sense of pride and where I came from and what I was representing. And I'd say that just carried on with me in every facet. When I left Purdue and was drafted by the San Diego Chargers, I was kind of carrying both those places with me. And then when I came to the New Orleans Saints, I was still carrying that with me. And now that I'm, retired and going into the Hall of Fame, I think more so than anything, I carry the city of New Orleans with me and our fan base and my teammates. I mean, I'm carrying so many of those guys that were a part of this journey, like that had influence in it, had a piece of it, like they deserve credit for it. There's so many guys, and that's what these next 7 months are going to be, before being enshrined, is just a reflection of all the people that are involved in that.
Who all did you have here tonight with your kind of family?
Brittany was here. The 3 boys were here. My daughter had a gymnastics meet, and she probably wouldn't have as much fun as the boys are having, seeing all their heroes and all the guys on their fantasy team. But yeah, they boys are pretty stoked right now.
Drew, you talk about those moments driving around New Orleans for the first time. If you could talk to 2006 Drew, what would that conversation be like?
Oh man, it's going to be a pretty amazing ride, which it has been.
Drew, when you talk to guys or hear from guys like Cam Jordan, DeMario Davis, Benjamin Watson, former teammates, current Saints, that say, man, we cannot wait to see Drew Brees enshrined into the Hall of Fame or be elected into the Hall of Fame as their first ballot Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's I hope that they know that they're as big a part of this as anybody, especially the guys that you mentioned. Those are 3 of the greatest teammates I could have ever asked for, and iron sharpens iron, as one man sharpens another. So that was the approach that we took each and every day. We were going to try to bring out the best in each other, and we were going to believe in each other. We were going to hold each other accountable, and but I wanted to win for those guys. Man, I wanted to win so bad for those guys every time on the field, and I think that's why we were able to accomplish what we were able to accomplish.
Has it hit you now that you're a Hall of Famer?
Little by little, little by little. I think each of these moments, tomorrow is the Merlin Olsen luncheon, and everybody's like, just wait, and so I just get the feeling that each and every step here is going to be, more and more of a reality. I'll tell you, a moment tonight was when walking on stage, but then when all the Hall of Famers walked up there, and it was all of a sudden just like, welcome, you're here, you're in. It's like you just got into a really elite club, and you still have no idea what's about to happen.
It's just amazing, man. It is amazing what Drew Brees was able to accomplish over his 20 years of football, man. 20 seasons that he played. 20 seasons in the NFL that Drew Brees played, man. And it was just absolutely phenomenal, man. As you can see, this is directly from the NFL's Hall of Fame website, the Pro Football Hall of Fame.com, showing Drew Brees as the class of 26, having him in here. It shows all his fantastic accolades, talk about all the things that he did. In 06, over 15 seasons, led the league in passings completed and passing percentage, including 5 seasons, and excess of almost 71% per completion percentage. Led the NFL in passing yards 7 times, tallied 5 seasons in which he exceeded 5,000 yards passing, 08, 09, 2011, and 12. Led the league in passing touchdowns. Throughout his 20-year career, he accumulated over 80,000 yards, 571 passing touchdowns, at both second all-time for NFL quarterbacks. So he had 13 Pro Bowl selections. He was AP First Team All-Pro recognition in 06, 2 AP NFL Offensive Player of the Year awards in 08 and 2011, a Super Bowl title and the MVP award. And then in 09, he earned the Burt Bell Award as the NFL's Player of the Year. 2010, the AP named Brees the male athlete of the year, while Sports Illustrated selected him as the sportsman of the year. And he's been recognized for several times, chosen as the Walter Payton Man of the Year. In 2006, he received the 2011 Allen Page Community Award for positive impact in his hometown, and the accolades just go on. And this is his entire docket, of him and all of the things he accumulated in all the years. And it's just a special thing to see Drew Brees go into the Hall as a Saint, and that's something that, as you can see on his face, man, he's reached the pinnacle of greatness as a professional football player.
Share with us what Gail Benson did. Congratulatory call.
Yeah. She congratulated me. I talked with Mickey. I talked with Sean. Obviously, three incredibly influential people, in my life, and really, Sean and Mickey. The reason that I came to New Orleans, because those guys believe in me.
Did you find motivation in some of those moments, like coming out of high school, not being recruited by Texas, or the San Diego situation?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's plenty of the chip on the shoulder, something to prove. Hey, you're too short, too slow, not enough arm strength. Blah blah blah. But I don't know. I took pride in being a 6-foot quarterback and maybe having to win in a different way. And look, I look at my journey, and it's, first off, I didn't know any better. I don't know what it's like to be a prototype quarterback. But I don't know. I had a little bit of figure it out to me, And also I had some great people, great coaches, great mentors. Drafted into a better situation than to play with Doug Flutie. I saw Doug today, and it's like every time I see him, it's like no time has passed. It's like we're back in the locker room together, and I think that's the way I feel about a lot of my teammates. But Doug especially, because he just played the game differently. He had to. He's 5'9.5", 180 pounds. He was throwing back shoulder throws before anybody was. He would backpedal a 7-step drop from under center. He would just kind of wind his way through, and he'd throw these no-look passes and sidearm. And I'm like, Doug. But you just watch and observe, and you just begin to glean all of those things and make it a part of your game and understand the why. And okay, well, this is how you combat being shorter, and maybe you can't see, you don't have the vision, but I know the accuracy of the safety's there, and the in cut's going to be right there. So I'm just going to time it with the trust and anticipation, and that leads to accuracy. And so. And then being with Marty Schottenheimer, Marty deserves to be here. Marty Schottenheimer deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and he was a huge impact for me earlier in my career. I look at every step of the journey, and it was like, it was all meant to be. It's all part of this.
Drew, what about
man? Fantastic, man. But yeah, the mention of Doug Flutie. Used to love watch Doug Flutie play when he was with the Patriots, the Bills, and how he used to play small quarterback, probably the most popular small quarterback ever in professional football. Doug Flutie, what he used to be able to do as a small quarterback, and Drew Brees taking and learning his game and increasing his anticipatory ability, understanding route concepts and where people needed to be on the field at a certain period of time. That's what Drew Brees did really well. He had these anticipation throws, right? And then, of course, you see he didn't have a lot of batted balls at the line of scrimmage either, right? Some people got it, but notice Drew Brees didn't have a lot of those batted balls at the line of scrimmage because he had the big, massive interior or the offensive linemen that was 6'5", 6'4" guys, 6'7", 6'6" guys. And then you had the big defensive linemen that were the same way. He didn't have a lot of those batted balls. Drew Brees knew how to throw in between the lanes. He knew how to slide and glide and step up and find lanes. He knew where the wide receivers was going because he did a phenomenal amount of research and film study and premeditation, meaning that he would go out and visualize game visualization methods that he would use, where he would go out there on the practice field by himself and would go through an entire game just pretending, that he would make this throw, how the game would go in his mind. This man did all of this. It wasn't just by his talent alone. He realized he didn't have the arm or the speed or any of this other stuff, but look how he was able to get it. Like what a lot of the people tell you, got to have the size, the speed, and the power. He didn't have all those. He didn't check all those boxes, but look what he did, and he was able to make it to places where, other guys who had those talents when he was playing aren't there. So it speaks to there's more than one way to get there. He found a way, and he took full advantage of it. So that's good game from Drew.
The idea of a whole generation of Saints fans kind of grew up with knowing that nothing but success when it comes to the Saints based on what you were able to do.
I hope that's a good thing. I hope that's a good thing because, we like, high expectations are all right, I think it just makes you work harder. It sets a standard is what it does, sets a standard. Look, and that started with Sean. And then we all, he empowered the leaders to go and hold everybody accountable to that, and played with so many great leaders, great guys that bought into that and believed that, and that was the result. And it resulted in a lot of that success. And look, I think there's always the next generation, and hopefully we're entering into another generation of Saints football that's going to be prosperous here for a long time.
Your thoughts on Jari, and I know you expect him to be in that same club with you one day. Lobby for him right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Sean Payton has said it best. And this isn't to pat ourselves on the back, but it's just the truth. If you look at those 15 years, we're the greatest offense in the history of football when you just look at yards and production and touchdowns and points and just everything. That's not to take anything away from me. Like, there's some incredible, all the offenses that we would watch and try to emulate, the old Bill Walsh offenses and the Rams, and even the Patriots and the Colts with Manning and all these guys that we would just watch and try to, just take certain things from. But when you just look at that production, it was the greatest display of offensive football over the course of 15 years. So you can't tell me that there's just one person that is going in the Hall of Fame as a result of all of that, right? There was quite a few. It had significant contributions, and we wouldn't have been what we were without it. I think that stands for something. And now add on the fact that Jari was, all pro. What?
4 times.
4, yeah. I was going to say 5. I'm going to give him 5. And just one of those guys who arguably the best guard in football while he played. He's just one but certainly the next one that absolutely deserves to be here.
Shout out to Drew Brees, man. Just excellence, man. Drew Brees in the Hall. It's just phenomenal going through the golden years of Saints football, watching the Saints climb the heights that we've never seen before, watching Drew Brees and tear up defenses and win a bunch of games, and just over the many years living through the Saints golden era of football was special. And you see it culminated in the Hall of Fame induction by Drew going in as a Saint. I don't have words for that, man. That's just phenomenal. The only other thing now moving forward is, does Drew Brees deserve a statue? This does put it in the thought process of most football supporters of the New Orleans Saints football brand and the region, that should he get a statue? And he should. I think a lot of our around the dome particularly, hell, I would be favored. Willie Roaf called Drew Brees the greatest Saint that ever was. That's a high honor, because you had some guys who had phenomenal Hall of Famers: Ricky Jackson, Martin Anderson, Willie Roaf. Those guys, Willie Roaf, to give Drew Brees, and they say he's the greatest Saint of all time, it's a phenomenal honor, and he is the greatest Saint of all time. He should get a statue. Now, it could be something like when you walk into the dome, or something that could be displayed inside of the dome in the concourse area some kind of way, or perhaps it could be something in Champion Square. But regardless or not, yes, a statue of a former Saints quarterback Drew is widely considered long overdue and appropriate. Many of the supporters and observers calling for one in front of the Superdome, and especially with him being inducted, and with his not only just playing the football, but his hands-on philanthropy post Katrina, his role as an icon, never really having any major scandals tied to him. He was a model of consistency, and the support is strong for a statue, to celebrate him. And then, of course, the concepts would have to come in, to talk about what that statue would look like. But at some point, you would expect that to be something that happened. Maybe not this year, but perhaps next year, opening up this next, I guess if they got it together quick, that it could be something that the first home game, they can unveil Drew Brees a statue and give him an award or whatever in the dome for our first home game. That could be a good way to do it. I don't know if they can get that done between now and the start of the season. I'm pretty sure they have, but we got resources down here to make that happen. At least if not this year, next year, a statue, a good one, a Drew Brees should be considered in front of Caesar Superdome, no doubt about it, man. He made New Orleans Saints football relevant again, and the golden era is what all eras will be compared next to. He overall lifted the floor of the program, and that's something that we really have to kind of look at moving forward. But there should be something that we should look to, man, in terms of getting Drew Brees a statue, man, no doubt about it. We need to definitely think about that thing. All right. But anyway, with that being said, man, what do you guys think about Drew Brees and his role here in New Orleans? What y'all guys think about that? Please feel free to hit the comment section up. Let me know how y'all feel about Drew Brees and his contribution to the New Orleans Saints, and let me know how you guys feel about a statue of Drew Brees. You know, that'll be the next thing right here, to honor the greatest Saint that ever was. All right, with that being said, I'm going to hit the like button for y'all guys. Y'all hit the like button for me. Hit the subscribe button, the share button, the notification bell. And by all means, feel free to share the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Doesn't matter, man. Share the show with other diehards across the Who Dat Spear. And also check out FanDuel for all your bets. Check out our Tyler Shuck, y'all, actually collection. That is, the link is in the description section below, so y'all can check that merch out that's coming up. So with that being said, man, chime in the comment section. Let me know how y'all feel about Drew, and give me y'all favorite moment from the Drew Brees era. Let me know how you feel about a statue and what the statue should look like. Hit that comment section up. I'll holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and who dat.
Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the WhoDatDaily.com, your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or